Hari Om, can you hear?
Can you hear?
Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji. Yes.
So from the chapter number 12, Bhakti, we went to Kshetrajna Yoga. That means, the Dehi and the Deha. We try to understand the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna, the field and the knower of the field. And then from there we move to the different characteristics in us, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, Sattva Rajas Tamas, and we were given the idea that while effort should be there to curb the Rajasic and Tamasic influences in us, we should try to make the Sattvic a part of our nature, not coming and going, not a guest but a host. And from there now we move to a very important chapter. All are important chapter, but every time when we move to the next one, we feel it is more important. And that is Purushottama Yoga. Just like we yesterday shared, when Mataji was subjected to go through intense sadhana, Mataji could reach a stage where she was able to revel in the bliss of the Nirguna Nirakara level. And she, though these languages are not correct, but this is the only way we can express. She was reluctant to come out of it. And then Papa mentioned that what we have experienced within, we should be experiencing the same without also. Then only it becomes complete. Creation is there, not independent of the Creator, but creation as a part of as the projection. Not creation is the projection of the Creator, so it is equally valid. Certain level, in that level it is valid. Just like when we are passing through dream state, it is real for us. Only when we come out of it, we come to know that it was a dream state. So the experience we get in the dream is real for us. It is not, but the moment we come out of it, we realize that it is not real. Similarly, world is unreal, but world as God is real. So with this idea, nice to say all these things. So whatever we, in our own language, if we can say, suppose unknowing, with all hearing all these things, going to ashram, doing Ramnam, doing meditation, everything, still many of us or most of us still feel there is a divide between the labeled spiritual practices and our daily activities. Whereas Purushottama Yoga demolishes the whole thing. That is Purushottama Yoga. Which is the place where he is not. If we try to divide, then unknowingly we try to recognize that there is a place where the Lord is not. So initially we have not understood. So we have tried to limit him, we try to feel his presence in a specified place, specified time, under a specified situation, in a specified object, in a specified individual. Initially, but we are clearly warned here. And Vinobaji, in his commentary, he has beautifully brought it out. We see countless objects in the world. They are to be divided into three categories. When a bhakta gets up in the morning, he has only three things in his mind. First, he remembers the Lord. Then he makes preparation for his worship. The bhakta is the servant, while the Lord is the one who should be served. The rest of the creation is the means of worship. That word is very important. It encompasses the whole thing, Jagat. When we go to a puja room, we have tambal, we have bell, we have jalapatra, we have flowers, we have sandal paste. We consider these are all articles of worship. But Purushottama Yoga says, everything that when you open your eyes, you see, is an article of worship. Everything. When I handle this book, when I handle this mic, when I handle these specs, it exists to provide flowers, incense, sandal paste for the worship. This is the triad of service. This is the teaching of this chapter. But normally, a devotee worshipping an idol does not look upon everything in the world as means of worship. He picks and chooses a few things. He goes to the garden, fetches a few flowers, brings a few incense sticks, prepares some food offering. This is not keeping in touch with this fifth chapter. All the means of doing penance, the means of doing karma, constitute the means for the Lord's service. Some of these may be called flowers, some may be called incense. The idea is to make all the action the articles of worship in this way. Nothing exists in the world except these three: the worshipper, the Lord, and the means of worship. The Gita is infusing the spiritual discipline of Vairagya, which it wants to impress upon us with bhakti. Thereby it is removing the arduousness in karma, the actionless in action, rendering it. So this is the cream. We are not worried about any other thing. This is the cream. Right from the moment I get up in the morning till I retire to bed. So far I have only categorized certain things as something that will help me in my spiritual progress. But now, this 15th chapter bulldozes everything. Bulldozes the divide. And declare that there are only three things. You the Bhakta, he the Lord, and all rest of the things are articles of worship. So this is the preamble, Beautifully, it's a lengthy chapter, but due to paucity of time, we are not reading everything. But this is the cream. So
the first shloka was itself confusing to me. Can you please explain that?
First shloka, she wants explanation. Go through a more. First shloka.
It will come.
She didn't understand. She wants to.
Nobody can understand. Even we cannot understand. But we will try somehow. A profound idea has been brought out in a simple manner, but totally confusing, The Lord explains the origin of the individual soul. A fragment of His supreme essence assumes the form of the immortal individual soul in the realm of action. This soul takes on the five senses and the mind, which are inherent in Prakriti. At the time of embodiment, the Lord brings the senses and the mind with him, and upon dissolution, he takes them away, akin to how the breeze carries the fragrance of flowers. The senses are drawn from their respective bodily seats, the ear, eye, skin, tongue, nose, and the mind. While embodied, the soul experiences the sense objects through these faculties. The ignorant fail to perceive the divine residing in the body and feels that the experience gained through the senses are his because their wisdom is clouded by the gunas. The Lord emphasizes that everything originates from him only. The light of the sun, which illuminates the world, as well as the light of the moon and fire, has its source in him. He nourishes the plant kingdom through his vital essence, infusing the soil with life and creating the sap in plants and trees. As the fire within all living beings, the Lord aids in digestion and assimilation, enabling the consumption of all types of food through the interplay of breath and bodily fire. Our digestive system, no? Furthermore, the Lord reveals that he is the ultimate truth residing in the hearts of all beings. Again he explains, from him arise memory, reasoning, even the absence of these faculties, that is forgetfulness. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtam attasmriti jnanam apohanam ja. Knowledge, remembering, forgetting. All these things are given by him only. The individual soul entangled in the lower Prakriti, governed by the gunas, must transcend sensory attachment and realizes its true, all-pervading, eternal nature beyond the gunas. This state is the Purusha or Atman, one aspect of the Supreme Being Purushottama. Here body consciousness, dualities, cycle of birth and death are transcended through self-knowledge. Now we come to the slokas. So the first sloka, Urdhvamulam Urdhvamulam atashagam ashwattam prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavid. Meaning is, the universe is like a tree with the roots reaching upward and its branches spreading downward. Normally we have seen, right from the age we started observing, roots are always under the soil and branches are always above the soil. We can see the branches, we cannot see the roots. But here, opening chants are just opposite. Moolam is urdhvam, no? The root is on the upper side. Atashagam. Very difficult to understand. However much we try to understand, because we should know that our intellect can go only based upon what has been assimilated, what has been memorized, what has been understood. And it is limited. That aspect we don't agree at all. No? Then why did the Lord say this? We feel that it symbolizes that while manifestations are visible, we are all seeing it. The source remains an incomprehensible mystery. Just like when we go through that sloka, Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam, the Lord says, I am the eternal seed of everything. We have intellectually understood. Because we know that a seed sprouts A seed is necessary for any sprouting. That means a cause. A cause should be there for all effects. Without a cause, there cannot be an effect. But here, rest of the things we can find out the cause. It's my cause, father and mother. Suddenly, they are bound to their parents. And they are bound to their parents. 3 or 4 generations, we might be able to keep the track. Afterwards, we can keep on repeating that sort. Because why we are repeating? That should be there. We don't know. Beyond 4 or 5, we cannot. But at the same time, we are the effects. So there should be a cause. So the first cause we can say, as somebody beautifully said, uncaused cause. The primordial cause. The first cause. Papa used to mention it as the first cause. All these things are words, Can we convey this to anybody? Can anybody comprehend it? Used through the usual channel of understanding. So we feel this particular sloka has been brought out to symbolically make us understand that while without roots, the branches will not come. Branches are only visible. Roots are not visible. But we know that there is root. Branches can be, because it is tangible, it is palpable, we can do any research. But underneath, how many roots are there, we don't know. In coffee plant, when we were doing it actually, then we learned one lesson. There are 2 types of roots are there. One is the tap root that keeps the plant steady, It goes deep root, keep the balance. Even under any wind or storm, it will be there, firmly rooted. And the other root is called feeder roots. That will get spread. It will go in search of plant food for the plant. Okay, those are all the things. So now the question is, when we know that the roots are below the surface, why did he say urdhvamulam padashakam? So just like our origin itself is a mystery, it is a mystical truth. It is a truth because we are aware. We are there, no? In tangible form, we are there. So there should be a cause. We can infer that. There should be a cause from which all of us have come out. The theory of self-propagation. That also we have understood from our activities. We we sow a seed in a conducive atmosphere, and then it sprouts, it grows, it becomes a seedling, a plant, flowering, fruition, and the fruits has got many seeds. One seed has brought out innumerable seeds. This is what is called self-propagation. So like that, the first source from which we started, we are all the self-propagated seeds of that same source. All these are intellectually understandable. We cannot travel. We know that it is true. So how to know that? Though there is a method they have prescribed to know this, but you cannot explain. The moment you explain, you are bringing it under the knowable category, which is beyond this knowable category. So that is what is called mystery. So Papa names the origin as subtle and mysterious power. That has been brought out. The universe is like a tree with its roots reaching upward, its branches spreading downward, symbolizing that while manifestations are visible, the source remains an incomprehensible mystery. At least we know all of us have come from the same source. And with that, when we start our journey, things will get clear one by one, one by one. The mystery will be unveiled, but we cannot express.
Swamiji,
Ah,
thank you very much, Swamiji.
okay.
Thank you very much. I was not trying to, I was not getting the meaning from so many sources.
Yeah.
But finally you cleared it very nicely. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. And the second shloka, below and above spread these branches which are nourished by the gunas, which have sense objects as its buds, and below in the human world stretch forth the roots originating action. So all our actions, karma actions, are rooted in these gunas. Its form is not here perceived as such, neither its end, nor its origin, nor its existence. Having cut us under the firm-rooted Ashwatha, the Samsara Vriksha, they go where they do not return again. I seek refuge in the premier Purusha when streamed forth the internal activity, cosmic processes. Third and fourth, the Samsara Vriksha. Where from? This is purely an inward journey. I become aware of everything through the vehicle called a thought. When the thought is not there, the existence of the object, persons and situation also do not exist for me. So when through a process, when Papa asks us, utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. It is in the stillness that you know and realize God. Stillness means what? Absence of thought. At the same time, consciousness is there. In deep sleep, this is not there, Consciousness at a latent level, not in the expressed level. It is there. That is why when we get up, we know we had good sleep. So this has to be carefully understood. So through the power of discrimination, chaffing, removing all the one by one. Shankaracharya's Nirvana Shadgam, Manobuddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham, Nacha Shrotra Jikhve, Nacha Grana Netre, Nacha Vyoma Bhumi, Na Tejo, Na Vayu, Chitananda Rupam Shivoham. Na Punyam, Na Papam, Na Saukyam, Na Dukkam, Na Mandram, Na Tirtam, Na Vedam, Na Yajnam. Aham Bhojanam Neiva Bhojyam Na Bhokta Chitananda Rupam Shivoham. Na me dvesha ragho, na me lobha moho, madoneva meneva matsarya bhavam. Na dharmam, na chartam, na kamam, na moksham, chitananda rupam shivoham. Na me mrityu shankha, na me jadi veda pitaneva meneva matanya janma. Na bandhu, na mitram, gururnaiva shishya, chitananda rupam shivoham. All the novables have been in one go removed. These are all the things that are coming under the novables. So that stage cannot be explained, Only by this negation, expression of negation, the assertion can be experienced. He tried to put it. Aham nirvigalpo niragara rupo. Nirvigalpo niragara rupo, It's all negation only. Vibhutvacha sarvatra sarvendriyanam. Natasangadorneva muktirnameya chitananda rupam shivoham shivoham. So he leads us by a process of negation. You will start experiencing the assertion, who really you are. So like that when we go, this samsara vriksha, my attachment, everything gets cut. And I am in the process of moving toward that eternal cosmic process. Free from pride and delusion, with the evil of attachment conquered, ever dwelling in the self, with sensory desires completely receded, liberated from the pairs of opposites, the undeluded reach the goal eternal. That the sun illumines not, nor the moon, nor the fire, that is my supreme abode. Going whither, they return not. Some are, we have to Samatukka Sughe 6. न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशांको न पावकः यद्गात्वा न निवर्तन्ते तदाम परमं भमम् तद्धामम्. Nor does the sun shine there, nor moon, nor fire, to which having gone they return not. That is my supreme abode. Some of you might have heard about this. Janaka, the dialogue between Janaka and Yajnavalkya. He says, how do I see the object? He says, because of the light given by the sun. So the question asked, during night there is no sun. How do I see the object? Moon. When the sun and moon is not there, how do I see the object? Light, any light. When the sun, moon and the light is not there, how do I see the object? Difficult. So he says on an Amavasi day, yesterday we said, you are sitting pitch dark in a room, 12 o'clock midnight, there are absolutely no light, but to see everything you need a light or a torch, but to know you, to know that you are sitting, do you need a light? We don't need a light. The light is within us in the form of awareness, consciousness. We know that we are sitting. We know that this is pitch dark. We know that it is 12 o'clock. We know that we cannot see outside. Who says? So there, neither the sun shine, nor moon, nor fire. That is the abode of the self. Every one of us can verify this, And so when we reach there, there is no question of returning back to the same level. So then, an eternal portion of myself, having become a living soul in the world of the living, draws to itself from external nature the five senses and the mind. An eternal portion of myself, having become a living soul in the world of life and abiding in Prakriti, draws five senses with mind as the sixth. The infinite has no parts, can suffer no divisions within itself, and yet, just as with reference to the four walls of my room, I consider the room space as different from the outer space, the hall space and the outer space. So too, with reference to a given mind-intellect vehicle, the infinite light of consciousness playing upon it is considered by the ignorant as limited by the vehicle. Prior to construction of this hall, it was an open space. That open space is still there even the hall, even after construction of the hall. Tomorrow, God forbid, if this is demolished, the same it remains there. But now we do not identify it as the illimitable space, but we say it is Centenary Hall. A name and form with boundaries, with a form. Similarly, the all-pervading reality, when it functions through this body, mind, intellect, this hall, it assumes that it is individual. Simple. When the Lord obtains the human body and when he leaves it, he takes these senses and mind goes as the wind takes the scents from the flowers. At death, the subtle body departs from the gross body and it is left inert. If systematically observed, the dead body will be found to maintain, no doubt, the shape of the very individual that it was, but has no more any sense of faculty or mental ability or intellectual capacity that it had expressed before. These expressions, physical, mental, intellectual, were that which gave the body so long as its own impressive individual personality stature. All these constitute the subtle body, and the gross body, bereft of its subtle essence, is called the dead body. At the time of death, the subtle body, as it is described here, moves off, gathering unto itself all faculties as the wind takes scents from their resting places. Many of you might not have experienced directly. So that's why we are telling this. Many of you would have. Especially when you are in a plantation area, coffee estate. We were all privileged to be in coffee estate for a quite long time. So every year we watch the blossoming. It takes place somewhere, February, March. Right from November, December onward, the buds will start lengthening. And when it is preceded by a severe drought, it will crave for water. And then a 1-inch rain when we get in February, March, is called blossom rain. Exactly on the 9th day, early morning, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, the bud will open. The moment we come out of our house or cottage, at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, you will be having that fragrance, something which you cannot explain, so nice. So the wind carries, Afterwards, it will not be there. But we all people, plantation management people, we only learned that it was inviting the bees to come. Because it is the bees that go and sit and do the pollination. And in an hour, the whole process takes place. And by the time we reach the estate, nobody will be allowed to go inside because there are different types of timings for the flowers to open. So the process will be there, but 99% it will be over by 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. But the whole area you can see is that fragrance. So the fragrance immediately invites the bees. The bees come and sit on it. And then the pollination takes place. Afterwards, it flies away. The fruition has already taken place. We stopped with that, but only after reading this 15th chapter we came to know that this is what is happening for us also, As soon as the flower brings out, the fragrance, and the fragrance is carried away by the flowers as such become lifeless. And by evening, what do you say that? It gets faded, lifeless. And for the next 1 or 2 months, it will. It won't wither away. It won't wither away. It won't wither away. It will remain there. Then we interpret it that it is the protection for the newly born child. It cannot be exposed to sun or rain. So the flower, when after the pollination takes place, it loses its role of bringing out the conducive atmosphere for fruition. Then it remains there unless unless a big rain or we used to remove it after a couple of days to what extent the fertilization has taken place. In a bunch of, what do you call that, cluster, in one cluster, we used to count. We have an idea, in so many branches, so many clusters will be there. So there are, suppose we are in a position to count 30, 20, 25. Into 3-4 plants, we will, in different places, we will go and search and do it. Then we get an estimate of the crop. It will be 500 kilos per acre, it will be 750, it will be 1 ton per acre, it is a bumper crop, all those things we will be able to say that. Now, he says here, as soon as this, the job of the flower is over, the mission of the flower is over, how do we know? The air takes the fragrance. So here he says, when the Lord obtains a body, when he leaves it, he takes these and goes with them as the wind takes the scents from their seeds. Seeds means flowers. So he takes the subtle body. The gross body is still there, that is cremated or buried. And then we are just sharing some thoughts. If we apply deeply on each and every shloka and then do some manana by ourselves, we may be able to unearth so many things that are happening in our body now and after the death. When the presiding over the ear, the eye, the sense of touch, taste, smell, as also the mind, he experiences the sense objects. Just like, the space here, the space has got windows, doors, this and that. Actually, it is not the space that is having this. In the space, all these things are there. Similarly, all our sense organs are in it. While transmigrating from one body to another or residing in the same, experiencing sense objects, or when united with the gunas, the deluded do not see him, but those who have an eye of wisdom behold him. The power behind the seeing, the power behind the tasting, the power behind the smelling, the power behind the touching, the power behind the tasting, the power behind the thinking. A constant reflection goes on. Otherwise, we stop with seeing, that's all. That is what is pointed out. The yogi is striving for perfection, beholding him, dwelling in oneself, but the unrefined and unintelligent, even though striving, see him not. So the life, he is expressing through the life force. So those who have done this, they will be able to see the life force expressing through these sense organs, but others not. The light which is residing in the body illuminates the whole world. That also which is the moon, the fire, know that light to be mine. Who gave that splendor, no? Entering the earth with my energy, I support all beings, I nourish all the herbs. If you are a student of medicine, especially Ayurveda, homeopathy, and to some extent English medicine, you will find all our herbs and plants have got medicinal value. Who gave? Chandranandji was having severe cold. So at that time, yesterday when we sent, there is a plant here, very near to our Vrindavan. It is called Adalotagam in Malayalam. So the homeopathy medicine it is named as Justitia Adathoda. It has come from that, which is good for cold, cough, bronchitis, respiratory problem, and plenty, any number. That is what here mentioned. So he says, it is there in the form of herbs. 13th chapter. 13, sorry. And then, one by one, he is explaining, I am the body of the living beings as the Jataragni. As soon as we eat, the digestion takes place. Who does that? Jadara means, stomach. Agni, the fire. Jadaragni. Associated with prana and apana, digest the fourfold food. He also mentioned the fourfold: chewing, drinking, swallowing, licking. All these things are done by that power. I am centered in the hearts of all. Memory, perception, forgetfulness come from me. I am verily that which is to be known by all the Vedas. I indeed am the author of the Vedanta and also the knower of Veda am I. Think about this particular one, no? Purushottama Yoga, when we say everything is enveloped by that power. Smriti, Jnanam, Apohanam. Memory, perception, forgetfulness. So there is nowhere where he is not. He looks at the body, he explains about the body, the senses, the sense objects, the sun, the herbs. Everything, one by one, Lord Krishna is bringing out. And then there are two beings in this world, the perishable and the imperishable. All beings are the perishable, but the soul is known to be imperishable. Perishable, imperishable. The seed sprouts. When the seed sprouts, the seed dies. See the beautiful thing? After it sprouted, if you search underground, you will not see the seed. So creation and death, both. We can see the fruits. Perishable, imperishable. But there is another Uttama Purusha pervading the three worlds, sustaining them. As I transcend the perishable and the imperishable, I become Purushottama. One who is free from delusion thus knows me, knowing all, worships me with one's heart. Knowing all. Grasping it in essence, man becomes wise, his mission in life is accomplished. So all these have been elaborately discussed so that we do not limit him in anything and any place. At least intellectually we try to understand this. When Papa has been mentioning this all-pervading, we were just repeating it, that's all. Intellectually we have understood, we will be able to reproduce in forums like this. But actually when he is all-pervading, how do I know that he is all-pervading? Only by going through these. So then we come back to Vinobaji's place. There are only three things here: me, the Bhakta, the sense of individuality, he, the Lord, and rest of the things are articles of worship. Everything is his. So when I handle anything, movable, immovable, anything, perishable, anything, everything it has come from him, come from him. my knowledge, my perception, my forgetfulness, everything. There is nothing where he is not. He is everywhere. So that is why he is called all-pervading, omnipresent.
Swamiji,
Ah,
Mataji used to say, this is Papa, this is Papa.
correct.
Now I understand.
Yeah. She was stretching this to created anything and everything. So, very important, kindly, that it's a small, just like what you call Bhakti Yoga, this also has only 20. But with this bhavana, we should go through so that it doesn't become academic. We are initiated into a process of identifying that power in anything that we come across, and then anything that is beyond our perception later on. So we can establish happy relation with everybody only through him. And he is the Purushottama both as manifest and unmanifest. There is a possibility that when the seeker during his inward journey may feel that the experience from the same is the final, but in reality is not so. The truth is that the indwelling reality is also the all-pervading reality. So only by seeing him in the outer manifestation, that means objects, persons and situations, we get a comprehensive experience. In other words, we realize that he is the Lord, both within and without. We are his instruments, and all other things are articles of worship. Self-knowledge is possible only when we treat every act as worship to the Lord. Self-knowledge, knowledge of the self. To know him is jnana, to love him is bhakti, to serve him is always is karma. We can adopt a jnana, bhakti, karma combination and become free even when we are handling the world around us. The individual soul, caught in the grip of the lower prakriti of the gunas, has to shuffle off the individual sense, merge himself in his real, all-pervading, motionless, eternal existence beyond the gunas. This is Purusha or Atman, one of the two aspects of the Purushottama, Supreme Being. Here the body consciousness and the pairs of opposites and the cycle of birth and death are all transcended through the knowledge of the Atman. From this stage, the yogi rises still higher and realizes Purushottama in both his aspects, the Purusha and the exalted, higher and creative energy and Prakriti. Now the yogi reaches a status which baffles expression. Being one with all existence, both manifest and unmanifest, he is eternally an illumined, all-blissful spiritual being. Now, we will try to enter into the 16th chapter. There is a connection between the 15th and 16th. That is what we feel, Each one can interpret in their own way. It is called Devasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga.
Swamiji, it's in depth, Swamiji. For us, we need to study that. In depth.
We have to study. Now this is Vande Bharat speed. Let us see, In this Vande Bharat speed we have been going and we have now landed in 16. We will try to go through and 17, 18, then afterwards how does he prompt us, we will see. The second churning, going interior to each and every room, more specifically. In the 18-roomed mansion, we have just now peeped into 15 and now we are entering into 16. Just have a cursory look and then come back, Let us see now. So here, human approaches are divided into two categories, divine and non-divine attributes. This Purushottama Yoga I am unable to understand because in me there are these two forces. So unless I try to get myself freed from, both are his, both have been given to us by him, but for reasons which we cannot understand, He has given to us, and now he is prompting us to know me as the Purushottama. You have to cross over the hurdle which I have created for you. So, Deva Asura Sampat Vibhagyo. Human approaches are divided into two categories: divine and non-divine attributes. The Lord, while explaining 26 values to portray the divine qualities, he also lists out innumerable non-divine attributes. The former one helps in moving towards him, while the latter moves away from him. That is all. Why he did that, we have no choice to ask. But he has placed before us. The anxiety of the Gita is not to classify mankind as good and bad and promise a paradise for the good and to curse the bad to endless damnation in hell. It is not at all. The virtues enumerated here are the scientific observations made in the physical, mental, intellectual behaviors when life, the knower, pulsates through the disciplined field and an undisciplined field of experience. That's the difference. So the instrument has to be purified. Disciplined field, undisciplined field. Only through a disciplined field, one will be able to understand the Purushottama. Threefold is the passage that drags the soul down into hell, by which he becomes dead to his higher self: lust, anger, greed. These comprise the threefold gate to push us out. If a man would aspire to realize the eternal, he has to abandon these three evil passions. The man attains freedom and realizes the loftiest aim of life, the greatest good, by being freed from the hold of these three evils. Something for all of us to deeply think. Lust, greed, and anger. He who ignores the injunction of the Shastras and acts only from the urge of his base impulses does not attain the knowledge of his real self, is not happy, and misses the supreme purpose of human life. So it is imperative that the aspirant should be guided by the rules set down in the scriptures by the sages as to what he should do and what he should not do. Here the rules are all pertaining to the practice of self-control and self-discipline. Before the soul can soar to the supreme height of the eternal life, he must first be pure in thought, word, and deed. Love, compassion, forgiveness, and peace should ever be the characteristic of all the movements of thought, speech, and action. The thought must dwell in the meditation of the all-merciful, all-loving God seated in his heart and in all creatures and things. The tongue ought to sing and talk of the greatness and the glories of the Lord. All activity must assume the one form of selfless service and adoration to the Lord. This triple purity eliminates the ego sense, enables the aspirant through complete self-surrender to attain God, the highest goal of life. So 1, 2, 3 slokas, these 26 values have been beautifully brought out. Here again, Vinobaji, the stanza we should learn by heart, yes. Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, Dhanam Damasya Yajnascha, Swadhyayastapa Arjavam, Ahimsa, Satyam, Akrodam, Tyagam, Shanti, Apaishvinam, Dayabudeshu, Aloluptam, Mardavam, Hri, Achapalam, Teja, Kshama, Dhriti, Shaucham, Adroho, Natimanita. So here Vinobaji says there should be a commander, you know. Virtues and vices are pitted against each other, Kurukshetra, within our own mind. Both the enemies are in neat formations. Every army needs a commander. Something very beautiful, you know. The virtues too have a nominated commander. He is Abhaya. fearlessness or freedom from fear. Fearlessness has been given the first place in this chapter. This has not happened accidentally. It must have been deliberate. No virtue can develop without fearlessness. No virtue can develop without fearlessness. Virtues have no value without truthfulness, and fearfulness is essential for commitment to truth. Virtues cannot develop in an atmosphere charged with fear. In such an atmosphere, they in fact prove to be vices. In such an atmosphere, even good tendencies get weakened. Fearlessness is the leader of all virtues. An army has to be alert about all tracks, both from the front and the rear. It can be surreptitiously attacked from the rear or as well. Therefore, while fearlessness is at the front, humility has been stationed at the rear to guard the army. Natimanita. Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi, it starts, ends with Natimanita. That's called humility, humbleness. It is indeed an excellent strategy. 26 virtues in all have been listed here. You may imbibe 25 of them, excluding humility, but if your ego gets inflated thereby, an attack from the rear will make you lose whatever you have gained. That is why humility has been placed at the rear. In the absence of humility, there is no knowing when victory will turn into defeat. Virtues can be developed only by keeping fearlessness at the front, humility at the rear. Most of the 24 virtues in between can be said to be synonyms of non-violence. Passion for all creatures, gentleness, forgiveness, serenity, freedom from anger and malice. All these are different terms for non-violence. In fact, all the virtues are contained in truth and non-violence. Truth and non-violence are the essence of all of them, but fearlessness and humility are in a different category. Fearlessness makes advance possible, humility ensures safety. So 1, 2, 3 is that, and 4, following are the asuric nature, some idea. Ostentation, arrogance, self-conceit, anger, harshness, ignorance. That means the image which we have developed, bereft of the power, no, expresses through all these things. Ostentation, arrogance, self-conceit, anger, harshness and ignorance. The Devi Sampath is deemed to make liberation, while the Asuric for bondage. But you are born for Devi Sampath. The person of Asuric nature knows not what to do and what to refrain from. Neither is purity found in them, or good conduct for truth. Filled with insatiable sensory desire, full of hypocrisy, pride and arrogance, holding evil ideas through delusion, people with asuric nature work impure resolve. 11 to 20. Through all these slogas, the Lord portrays the negative tendencies which are the source of miseries to them as well as to others. 21. The gateway to hell, destructive to the self, is of 3 kinds: lust, anger and greed. So one should forsake these 3. And then one who gets freedom from these 3 gates of darkness practices what is good for oneself and thus goes to goal supreme. One who is not following the Shastras, acts under the impulse of desire, does not attain perfection, happiness or goal. Let Shastras be your authority for the do's and don'ts. You act based on that. Because Shastras are the verified documents, verifiable documents. It is not a dictum or a dogma. Our spiritual scientists have gone deep into it and brought out these revelations. So that is our Magna Carta, the Constitution. So what is the learning from the chapter? One has to be vigilant always to ensure that all our actions become worship to the Lord. If not, whatever is attained in our spiritual journey will be lost. Vigilant. Every action should become a worship to the Lord. Kurukshetra is inside as well as it is outside. The internal conflict is what is happening in the outer world. The outer enemy is a product of one's own mind. What we may regard as our friend and foes are products of our own thoughts. So there are two aspects inside us, good traits and bad traits. Good traits are 26 in number, as described in this chapter, starting with fearlessness, ending with humility. The rest 24 are synonyms of non-violence. We should lead life keeping fearlessness as the commander, humility as the protector, and the rest for refining process. The essence of the demonical way of life is the following: arrogance, pride, anger, conceit, harshness, ignorance. To free ourselves from the clutches of these tendencies, we should have self-restraint. The Lord has exhorted us in this chapter to shun the demonical qualities and acquire the divine ones. This is how we have completed this first round of 16 chapters. Tomorrow, Papa willing, we will try to enter into the 17th. 17th is a small chapter, and we will make a beginning on the 18th chapter, which is a very lengthy chapter, and it is summing up of all these things. Probably it may take a day or two for us to whole thing, and then let us see how in one line we will try to understand the theme contained. We cannot do that, but for enabling us to proceed further, whatever theme that stands out, that we will put it in one line, and then see how these 18 chapters give us some clues about moving towards a process of becoming aware of His presence within and trying to recognize Him inside and outside. We are very clear now. That is the goal. The whole exercise is to feel His presence within, to become aware that He is within and He is also there without. If not 1%, at least we can realize we have won the game. The whole process has served its purpose. Even not 1%. That means from the individual level, at the moment we are caged in the sense of individuality. At least for a fraction of a second, if we are unable to get a peep into a fleeting experience of the indwelling and all-pervading reality, this whole purpose is saved. It has served its purpose. Kindly think about it. Yes, somebody wanted to say something?
Swamiji, I just wanted to say that you have done this before in 2019.
Huh?
You have done this year, 2019 you have done this exercise.
I don't know, I don't remember.
I have written down the notes, so I'm taking it out again.
Okay. During COVID period?
Before that, Swami.
Let us see. Anyway, still we are non-starters, in spite of that. So we will try now. This 19 means another 6 years have gone by. God must have definitely tried His level best to make us little more refined during these 6 years. So let us see whether we have moved from 0 to 0, not 1, and then becoming aware of His presence. That is the whole purpose. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram 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 Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Namaskar, Namaskar, Namaskar. Pranam, Pranam. Pranam to one and all. Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om.
I'll take that.
Isha.
नहीं ओ it's on Atika beyond yeah